Welcome to Both Sides of the Coin. This is the sports talk show where the facts do matter. And JB's political correctness never does. Never does. We're going to get into some heated conversations, but at the end of the day, most of the time we'll be able to shake hands and stay friends. But it always depends on... you'll always be right that you're wrong. I agree.
Which means JB, my man, right.
Just because you have your name on your hat just means you're an egomaniac. It doesn't mean that you're right. In any event, how are you doing today, good sir? It has been a minute since we've been on this show.
It's been good. There's been a lot of stuff happening.
Go ahead, you should
Where
answer.
We start?
Like that means talk.
Where are we starting here?
Well,
listen, we can talk about our personal lives. When people want to get into the depth of it, we're coming up to Election Day, which is the most right-left day ever. So let's get to some actual.
That's why I said we need to have. We'll go into. Let's do the power rankings first. Then we have two, I think, very noteworthy topics. Nothing about Michigan, none of that crap. Let's get right into some heated discussions here. So let's start with our NFL rankings. I'm gonna go first. Do you want me to go number 1 down or 5 up?
What do you think? Let's do 1 down this week. We'll do 5 up next week.
So. My number 1 team, you probably know who it is. It's not the Bills. It's not the Eagles. It's going to be the Chiefs. I'm sticking with the Chiefs. I think they are the number 1 team. I know that the Bills won that game that they played, but I think that the Bills are regressing a little bit. I think the way they can't put away teams like the Packers, they are clearly superior team over the Packers. The Packers had injuries left and right on that defense, and they couldn't put them away. Josh Allen threw 2 horrible interceptions, and I think that as the season goes, this is what he does. They don't have a running game at all, and they can't put teams away, and I think that's a problem. I think that that's why Patrick Mahomes won in the playoffs, because they couldn't put him away. You give him an ounce, he's going to take it. He almost came back in the game, too. He had a bad throw and got picked off at the end. Otherwise, they probably would have won that game, too. So I'm still putting – until the Bills beat the Chiefs in the game that matters, got to knock the Chiefs off first. So Chiefs are my number 1. What about you?
Not a bad choice. I mean, can't say you're wrong, but you're not right. I think it's the Bills. The Bills, since they beat the Chiefs. The Bills, since they're the best in the AFC, they had the tougher schedule. They played the better teams, and head-to-head, they beat my second team, so the Bills, because I'm going to go right into number 2, which will be the Chiefs. Chiefs are the class of the AFC behind the Bills. 1-2, you can flip-flop, you can exchange all day. Either way, you're not going wrong.
It's going to be the AFC Championship is going to be between the two. The question is who's going to drop the game, right? Are the Bills going to drop a game here or there? You know, they lost to the Dolphins. That was a bad game. You know, I don't disagree with you. I think that you can say they're 1-2. I do think we probably both agree that this is a 1-2 combo, and then there's like 5 or 6 other teams that you can kind of put in that like 3 to 7 category, and you can kind of flip-flop any of them. I mean, you can say the Eagles are next, which I will, but I think the Eagles are very vulnerable too. You know, I think that people forget, the Eagles beat the Cowboys. Eagles are my number 3, but they beat the Cowboys, yes. But again, they're a running team that couldn't put the Cowboys away. Cowboys are on the road with a backup quarterback. They were up 21-3, and Cowboys came back 21-17 in the third quarter. They couldn't put them away. And I was at that game. I was very close to the field. I'm being completely honest with you, and I say this, I'm obviously biased, but I don't think the Eagles won that game. I think the Cowboys lost that game. I think the Cowboys got a return from Turpin at the end of the second half, all the way down to the 30-yard line. They kicked the field goal to make it 20-3 instead of 20-7. They get a touchdown there. They end the third quarter up instead of down 3 points. That was a huge mistake. Number 2, they had an offsides penalty. It was 4th and 0. They 4th and 2. on like the 4-yard line. They weren't going for it. It was the end of the first quarter, and they got Dante Fowler to jump off sides he wasn't even going to run a play, and it gave him first down. They scored a touchdown. There was a bootleg on 4th and 2 that I don't know why, or 4th and 1. They didn't give it to Zeke, who'd been mauling them all game. So they run a bootleg with Cooper Rush, and they don't get it and give the ball back to the Eagles on their own 40-yard line and go and score a touchdown. I mean, awful coaching. Cowboys definitely lost that game. So my point in all of that is I just don't think the Eagles are anywhere near the Bills or the Chiefs. I think they get railroaded by both teams. I don't think that they're going to live up to the hype in the playoffs. I don't.
The drop between 2 and 3 is huge. Although the number 3 is undefeated, because I'm with you, there's a huge drop off. You know, I mean, you can only play who's on your schedule. So they are undefeated. They haven't lost. But if you put them up against the Bills or the Chiefs tomorrow, they're not undefeated anymore. You know, so it is what it is.
That goes to my number 4 team, who I actually, again, I'm obviously biased because I'm a Cowboys fan, but I'm putting the Cowboys at number 4, and I just think that they can match up better against the Bills and the Chiefs because their strength is a better offset to them, meaning they're both passing teams, and what are the Cowboys best at in the league by far? The pass rush. That is their go-to. They are the best pass rushing team. They have the most pressures. Micah Parsons is a young LT. You know, I just think that they're a tougher matchup than the Eagles would be on the road, specifically too, in those types of games. In a cold weather game, it's a lot harder to pass.
I would love to see the Cowboys defense against the Chiefs and the Bills. I think that would be a fun game to watch. It's a shame that there's no way we can see that unless they both make the Super Bowl, and it could happen.
Well, I saw there was Super Bowl rankings, like percentages of like potential matchups. The third highest percentage was Bills Cowboys at 5%. That was the third
to see because the Cowboys defense is phenomenal. You know, and I think that they would have the defense that could stop both of those offenses. And both of those offenses are explosive. So to even say a defense could stop them, that just shows how good they are. So they are definitely number 4. Now, number 5, this is a tough one. I mean, who do you want to pick for number 5?
I think it's a clear number 5. Not based on record, but based on recent transactions and future, I guess you could say, potential of winning games. I went with the 49ers. I think they have a top 3 defense, if not they're number 2 to Dallas. They have a great pass rush. They're a little banged up in the secondary. Good linebacker. I mean, they have playmakers all over. Their offense, Debo. Now they have McCaffrey, Ayuk, Kittle. I mean, they are stacked. They have their weakest spot is they have a game manager quarterback. So, is
that such a bad thing with all those weapons?
It is, but they were in the NFC Championship last year, and if anything, they've gotten better. So
I think they're clearly the number 5. I mean, how could you pick anybody else? I mean, the Giants, who have the 5th best record of the NFL, went out to Seattle and lost the game on punt returns. Seattle's not that good. Who else?
Seattle's not that good, but listen, whenever you're traveling across the coast and you're playing a team like Seattle, who actually has one of the biggest home field advantages in all sports, I get it. Now, I'm not saying the Giants played well, but
no. It wasn't. It's not so much that it's a bad loss, because it's not a bad loss if you look at it on the paper. It's just that
they are who we think they are.
And I'm thrilled with it because
they're going to make the playoffs. They're going to be a wild card team, and you never know what can happen. They can easily get a win in the playoffs.
I remember the last 5 years. This is phenomenal. You know, this is amazing to watch because we're not that much different of a team than we were 2-3 years ago.
Well, you are very different. I think that I think you hit a home run with the coaching hire. I think Daboll's phenomenal. He actually is a great head coach. Look at the difference. And this is my point of coming in one of our later topics. Look at the difference a coach makes and how a quarterback can play. Daniel Jones was left out for dead, and now Daniel Jones looks like a top 10 quarterback in the NFL.
I don't think he looks like a top 10
Stat-wise, he does. Stat-wise, he does.
He's
He
actually
hasn't
ranked
playing
ninth.
like he
He's
hasn't.
ranked
That's what
ninth
I'm
right
saying.
now.
That's what I'm
but
saying. He's stat-wise, he's playing like a top 10 quarterback because he's actually running. He runs the ball. He looks dangerous when he runs. You have to take that into account, and you never did that before. So I think that it's important to recognize the impact that a coaching hire can have. But I also think it goes to the Eagles and the Cowboys in that the three of them, the NFC East has probably the easiest schedule in all the NFL.
yes,
That's why the Cowboys are. That's why the Eagles are 7-0. They have a super easy schedule, and
it is what it is. You play two divisions, and we happen to play the two weakest divisions in football, so it's not that hard to look great.
They're probably only going to lose 2 games on their schedule. They might get a squeaker in where some team comes in and knocks them off where they're not prepared. But the only tough games I see are Green Bay, who I think is dead on the water. Who knows what they're going to be. Tennessee is going to be a tough game, and they have the Giants twice. So, those are really the 4 hard games. I think they have the Saints too.
All right.
So that can be in New Orleans. So, they have a couple of harder games, but we'll see.
All right. So let's move it along because we're pressed for time tonight. It's going to be a little bit shorter of a show for you guys watching.
So let's get into something that is near and dear to my heart. And let's talk about Kyrie Irving and him promoting the essentially Black Israelites of America. Obviously, my name is Goldstein. I'm probably the most Jewish name that there is. I'm Jewish, and my stance on this is probably a lot different than yours, ironically enough. Not condoning the tweet. I don't condone anything involving what he said. But my issue comes with, why is this the hill we're going to die on? What happened when Deshaun Jackson quoted a direct quote from Adolf Hitler? What happened? You remember that? Deshaun Jackson, direct quote from Adolf Hitler. What happened?
Right.
What happened? Oh, nothing. That's right. He said, "I'm sorry." That was it. He didn't say, "I was wrong. I shouldn't have said that." He said, "I'm sorry." And that was it. No media coverage, no nothing. Why now is this a problem? Why now? Is it that the media just doesn't like Kyrie? Is that why? How come you want to talk about politics? How come you have Rashida Tlaib, you have Ilhan Omar, who support Louis Farrakhan, the most anti-Semitic human on the planet? They tweet out his stuff all the time. All they have to do is simple as, "I'm sorry," sweep it under the rug. Now, do you think it has something to do with a Democrat being next door? Can't be. I mean, you tell me. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this.
So, personally, I could care less what Kyrie says.
I agree.
Listen, any athlete, they're allowed to have their opinions. They're allowed to
look at LeBron James.
They're allowed to feel how they feel. This isn't, the world according to JB Ellis. We're allowed to disagree as long as you listen to my side and are respectful, kind of like we have in this show, and I prove to you how I'm always right. But
what hat are you wearing right now?
JB Ellis. Pay attention.
We're just in your. I'm just in your world, living here.
There you go. Now, I mean, do I agree with what Kyrie said? No, but listen, there's obvious dislike for Kyrie from half the globe, media wise, and it's, who cares?
This is my point.
The Nets are winning basketball games. That's what matters.
This is my point, though. This is my point. This is not an anti-Semitic issue. It's not. Just like it's not with Kanye West. It has nothing to do with anti-Semitism. The media decides they don't like somebody. Okay, and they will go with anything they have to go after him. They do it all the time. They do it with Donald Trump. They do it with Kanye West. They're doing it with Kyrie Irving. You have people doing it. Look at Joe Biden. Joe Biden is literally saying things like gas was $5 when he came into office. No, it wasn't. The economy was in ruins when he came into office. No, it wasn't. His son died in Iraq. No, he didn't. I mean, he just says things that are, it's unbelievable. But hey, listen, if Trump said something that was stupid or like the inject yourself with whatever it was, they'll flip his words around to make him sound like an idiot. The media picks and chooses.
That was pretty idiotic.
So, it was, but they changed. Okay. Listen, I don't disagree with you. What he said was stupid, but again, that's not what he said either. He was saying something along the lines of like, can we get something like disinfectant that'll do that to us, like on the inside to clean us? He said it like an idiot. I agree with you.
Yes.
But my point is that Joe Biden says things like an idiot all the time, and the media doesn't go after him like that. That's my point. It's one-sided. That's what I can't stand. You want to go after Trump for saying stupid stuff? Do it. No problem with it. He says a ton of it. Go after him. I think it's great. But the fact that Joe Biden is like a walking ad for stupid stuff, and they sweep it. You can't question. You can't make fun of him for maybe being a little on the dementia side. Can't do that. I can't stand the one-sidedness. It's blatant, and it's awful, and it makes things so much more divisive in our country. The fact that everything's offensive on one side of the aisle. It's okay for Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar to talk about anti-Semitic things, say, where are the Benjamins, talk about Louis Farrakhan, be buddy-buddy with him. That's okay. But if Kyrie supports similar things, we got to nail him to the cross. Deshaun Jackson literally made a comment that quoted Hitler. Hitler.
It's a major problem with society, whether right or left. I don't think Kyrie Irving's a Republican, so I don't think it.
Maybe he is. Maybe he's not. I don't think he's either. My point is right. That he's clearly, the media is clearly going after somebody they don't like, right. And that's what they do. It just so happens that often the media doesn't like Republicans and does like Democrats. That's kind of where I'm going.
Oh, I understand, but with the Kyrie issue where we're talking about right now, I just think there's obviously a dislike from the media. Was it the right thing to tweet out there? No, but does it make a difference?
What I'm saying is
Kyrie's
Democrats do the same thing. Prominent Democrats support the same ideologies, the same things, and they get free pass after free pass. If he was a staunch Democrat that was out there supporting all these Democratic policies and was doing what LeBron James does often, he'd get a free pass. Guaranteed.
Interesting.
Guaranteed.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, it is what it is. He's got himself in hot water with that, and we'll see what happens with it. What's the next topic? We got 6 minutes left.
So the last thing, let's touch on my man Brian Flores and how you were so wrong. So wrong on this one. It's great. It's actually probably the favorite thing. We'll just start with Todd Bowles and his recent interview with the white reporter that asked him, how does he feel about black coaches in the NFL right now, being what he's playing against Mike Tomlin? And his response was quite awesome. His response, in not so many words, was, I don't think it's a big deal at all. The only reason it's a big deal is because you keep bringing it up. We don't think it's a big deal. So why don't you guys stop talking about it? Well, you were wrong on this one. You are so wrong.
Wow.
The fact that you're trying to prove that you're right is the reason why you're wrong. You are so wrong on this one.
There's breaking news across the bottom.
The breaking news is Brian Flores wasn't fired because he was black. Brian Flores wasn't getting a coaching job because he sucked at coaching. Prime example. What did he do with Tua? Oh, we'll put Ryan Fitzpatrick in. Tua starts. Ryan starts. Tua starts. He almost ruined Tua. He almost ruined him. So what did they do? They said, "You stink. Bye." And he said, "That must be racism." When what was it? Oh, they bring in a brand new head coach that had never coached before. And what's happening with Tua? Oh, all of a sudden they beat the Bills. All of a sudden the Dolphins, they're good. Maybe
I
the
don't know about
coach
that.
was the problem.
I don't know if
I
they're
mean,
good.
if he didn't just sit there and say the NFL was racist, he would have been a head coach too. He would have got the Texans job. Instead, he whined and cried because he's a victim looking for a hammer. He's a nail victim search of a hammer. You were wrong. I was right. Case closed. We can sign off. Thank you.
So once again, I don't think that he was the guy for the lawsuit. I think that he did happen with the Tua thing boggled my mind. But John Shear, who's the biggest Dolphin fan in the world, thinks it was great coaching, pulling him in and putting him out, pulling him in, pulling it out. We have
I don't
plenty of
think
tape
that
of that
he's
on
the type of
Sideline
person
Sports.
that, especially with what you said, I don't think he's the type of person to be quoting if Brian Flores was a good coach or not. He's not really the epitome of great sport takes. So thank you for confirming yet again.
Well, I'm
You
going to
were
have to say,
wrong. I
since
was
he's
right.
on Sideline Sports, he's always right as well about his takes. Because we're always.
I'm on Sideline Sports. So I must always be right, which means you're always wrong.
No, you're on both sides of the coin on the Sideline Sports Networks. That means you're right.
That's
Except when you disagree
always
with me.
right. Thanks,
Except when
Jay.
you
I
disagree with me.
appreciate you admitting I am right. We can end on that note. Where can we find you, Jay?
So JB_ the program on Twitter, here every other week on Wednesdays. 2 other shows earlier in the night, J&J Sports Express and the Sports Exchange, Tuesday night Sideline Sports, and coming back in the spring, Confidential. What about you?
So you can find me on my website, adamgoldsteincpa.com. You can go to my eBay store, Gold's Cards, buying and selling sports cards all the time. Just living the dream, my man. You can also find me at www.imalwaysright.com because I'm always right.
Wow.
Nice try today.
That was the coldest take I've ever heard. Coldest take.
Oh, yeah. Much colder than putting on the ball on the screen. This just in. Jamie Ellis is never wrong. Oh, nice try.
So, anyway, that was another great episode of Both Sides of the Coin. If you think JB was right, make sure you go to JB_ the program. Tell me how right I am. If you think I'm wrong, go to Adam Goldstein's website, send him an email, tell him how.
Wow, I'm getting all these emails
right
now.
you.
Oh my God, it's blown up. It's blown up.
How I've showed you the way. But until then, have a great night,
1, 2,
guys.
3, 5 emails, 6.
We'll see you next week.
Holy
2 weeks.
crap.
We're out.